Hi everyone, welcome to today's Lunch and Learn with Said, Hilary and Alexandra. So they're going to be speaking about attracting your ideal clients online. So I'm going to ask that if anyone has any questions that you hold until all three ladies are finished speaking on their topics, and that you pop the questions into the chat box just so everyone can see them nice and clearly. And if anyone has any Republic of Work related questions, as always, my email address is in the chat box now. Shoot me an email, and at the end of the session I will also be popping in a quick survey if people would like to fill it out. You have the chance to get a free day pass in Row, and it's just something that we do to constantly improve our Lunch and Learns. So with that, I will hand you guys over to Saif, and I hope you enjoyed the session.
Hi everybody, right, got myself unmuted there. So I'm Saif Warren from Content and Event, and we're here to talk to you today about attracting your ideal clients online. So we'd just like to start very briefly by saying, look, when we pitched this, we had no idea that the background to a lot of people's lives at the moment is going to be so difficult and very tumultuous. We know it's very hard for you to get into work mode a lot of the time when there's so much going on. We just want to say to anyone out there, if you're struggling, if you're finding things difficult, you're very definitely not alone. Do what you can and take care of yourself. Hilary's actually going to touch on SEO tools created by Ukrainian developers with funds that go to them. We'd just like to open just to take a moment of compassion for those caught up in the various conflicts and crises. So anyway, the show must go on. So we're here to talk to you today about attracting your ideal clients and how to get bang from your buck in terms of your digital marketing efforts. So digital marketing encompasses all your online efforts, your website, your SEO, your social media, your mobile apps, all of it. And we know it can be a bit of a time sink. A lot of businesses say to us, they're putting in time and effort, but they're not only not seeing the results they want, they're not sure what results they're getting, and they're not actually very clear on what they want the digital marketing to do. So what we're going to do today is we hope the lunchtime session will clarify all those points for you and give you a clear plan of what to do next. Our three experts are going to talk to you today about real world strategies you can use, and they are Alexandra Pedro of Alexandra Pedro Marketing on planning your marketing around your business goals, Hilary Quinn of Proximo Web Design on SEO and getting search engines on your side, and me, I'll be up last and I'll be talking about how to present your best face to new customers in the press to make sure that you convert clients when they do come to you. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you all to Alexandra Pedro, marketeer and creative at Alexandra Pedro Marketing, whose superpower is getting businesses really, really clear on what they need to do to get in front of their target audiences. Take it away, Alexandra.
Thank you, Saif. Hi, everyone. So do you ever feel like everything you say online, whether on social media or on your website, is just going into a void where no one is listening? If so, you are not the only one. I felt exactly like that when I was a freelancer, just spouting out content for marketing agencies. And today I am here to tell you that there is another way, a way of ensuring that everything you create and then share online is working towards a goal and adds to your brand. Today, I will share with you 4 tools that help me and my clients to never lose sight of what is important, and do not worry about taking notes, because I will share a free resource for you to download at the end with all the information I will talk about and more, and without the need to signing up for anything. Now, let's start by rewinding to when I first started on this journey to owning my own marketing agency. Back then, I was creating enormous amounts of content for various marketing agencies that then delivered that content to their respective clients. Those marketing agencies provided me with an assignment for each content that I created for them, but it was only a topic or a summarizing sentence. As far as I am concerned, apart from a couple of exceptions, these marketing agencies did not have a plan in place, and all the assignments I received were just random topics to help their clients rank on Google. Now, do not get me wrong, SEO is so essential, and you will hear all about that from Hilary soon. The difference for me now is that I focus primarily on the audience and only secondarily on search engines. I first spot a gap from the audience's perspective, decide how I'm going to fill it, and only then think about how I can optimize that content for search engines. But I was inexperienced back then, and I did basically the same mistake with my first social media client too. Instead of coming up with a plan, I took it day by day and posted whatever my creative brain came up with each day. Needless to say, consistency was nowhere to be found. There really was no reason for people to follow along. Maybe this is where you are, but there is another way. There is a way that you can change the way that you go about coming up with ideas, creating content for website and social media so that it all works together. So how can we solve this lack of inspiration and consistency both within channels and across those channels. There are 3 tools that I find essential: marketing strategy, brand guidelines, and content calendar. Let's start with the marketing strategy. Take the time to get to know your business, to create your business goals, and then decide how your marketing efforts fit into that big picture. Only when you know where your marketing fits in, for example, getting new clients or spreading an important message, you can come up with a marketing strategy. Your marketing strategy is nothing more than your marketing goals, which support your business goals, and the steps that you will take to achieve them. As an overly simplified example, just to get you going, a goal could be to educate a certain amount of people about an environmental issue, and the steps to get there could include sharing content about that issue on your website and social media, for example. Now, moving on to our second tool, the brand guidelines. Every client who works with me has brand guidelines, either created by them or created by me. These include how the business must be portrayed and are usually divided into 3 main areas: the core, which is who you are; the voice, which is what you say and how you say it; and the image, which is what you look like. Brand guidelines are essential to ensure consistency across channels, but only when they are followed by everyone in your business. So they should be available to everyone within your business and also external people who work for your business. And finally, we have your content calendar. The name says it all. It is a calendar that it lists all the content that you are going to share across your various channels, be them website, social media, newsletter, you name it. Creating your content calendar in advance allows you to take a look at the big picture, as well as at which elements each piece of content will need. Make sure to take time here to create content that is useful, it's easy to consume, it's engaging, and it's always focused on the needs of your audience instead of your businesses. While I find creating a content calendar is also essential, I find it very important to leave room to adapt it according to what's happening in the world and unexpected changes to your environment, to your audience, or even to your business, as we've seen so often during these last couple of years. But so far, we have mostly talked about how to plan your content using your marketing strategy, your brand guidelines, and your content calendar. But there is one piece missing: how to implement it. The saying, "too many chefs spoil the broth," applies here. When one person creates the content and someone else publishes it, for example, you create it and your social media person publishes it, best practices may be lost along the way. I'm talking about actions like adding alternative text to images or closed captions to videos. You need to either educate yourself to be able to understand what is needed from each step of the process, or find people you trust to do it properly. Either way, there is one tool that you can use to ensure best practices are always followed. Try creating a flow chart for each type of content of all the tasks that need to be completed between its conception and its publication. For example, for a social media post, your flow chart could include coming up with the idea for the post, validating that idea with someone else, creating the caption for that post, creating the image or taking the photograph for the post, adding alternative text to it, writing it, and then adding it when you are publishing it, as well as hashtags, and finally engaging with the audience in the comment section and your messages related to that post. Ask for help when creating these flowcharts from someone who knows these best practices, so that you know that they are in the flowcharts, and then follow them, not only to ensure best practices, but also to make it easier for you to constantly be creating and pushing content online. And this was it for me today. It was very quick. Our sessions are only 7 minutes, so I know I only scratched the surface today, but I hope it was enough to get you interested in researching these tools and maybe implementing them in your business. Start by focusing on the marketing strategy first, so that you know where you are going, then the brand guidelines, so that you know what type of content you are going to be creating and how you are going to go about that, and only then on the content calendar and the flowcharts. And if you have any questions for me, please leave them in the chat. I will reply to them during the Q&A session. And if I do not get to yours, email it to me at alexandra@apmarketing.ie. And finally, I have also compiled the summary of what I talked about here with more information that you can download from the Linktree link that is now being popped into the chat. There you'll find the summary of what I talked from my website. You don't need to sign up for anything. And there's also links there for other free resources that you can check out, which include templates and examples of the tools that I talked about. And that was it for me today. Very quick. Thank you for giving me your attention. I really value it. And now I'm going to introduce our next 7-minute talk. I'm so glad to introduce Hilary Quinn, the website and SEO queen behind Proximal Web Design, who will share with us our best tips to make search engines work for us. Take it away, Hilary.
Thank you, Alexandra. What an amazing talk. I could just listen to you for hours talking about that. So good. Everybody check out the link in the chat as well, because Alexandra's LinkedIn is there, and it's just a really nice place to connect with all of us. All of our LinkedIns are there. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, so you should be able to see the first slide, and I'm just going to move that window. Okay. So hello, my name is Hilary, and I'm a web designer that specializes in search engine optimization, otherwise known as SEO. And this is how to appear in Google search results with a good ranking. You might want to take notes if you're interested in any of the free tools that I mentioned during this talk. And I also have a link on the link tree that you can get some links there as well. So the first question, why does SEO matter? Search engine optimization presents your website to people who are actively looking for either the product or service you provide. So instead of paying per click using Google Ads, you can appear organically in search results by using SEO. So I'll give you 3 main points in favor of SEO if this is you. 1, I don't have limitless money to spend on paid ads, which is really all of us, I think. 2, I want to beat my competition in organic search results, and I'm sure we've all Googled things that we want to appear above our competition for. And number 3, and this is the most important one, I want to provide great user experience. So just a couple of facts around Google. It's estimated that Google processes 5.6 billion searches per day, and the average person conducts 3 to 4 Google searches per day. I felt that was low. I've definitely pushed that up from people who don't Google at all, whoever those people are. So how can I audit my website for SEO? Google has provided us with a fabulous free tool. It's called Google Search Console that you can use to audit your website. You can install this on your website by a variety of methods, and the easiest of which is to insert a meta tag in the head of your website's HTML, or ask your web developer to insert this for you. You can use Google Search Console. I don't know if that slide has changed. Has it moved on to the, sorry now. Oh, there we go. It's moved. Yay. So you can use Google Search Console to see what pages or articles on your website are driving the most organic traffic to your website. So as you can see here, this is my own website and my own Google Search Console. So one of my blog posts is driving the most traffic to my website. So I leverage that by making sure that the blog post drives traffic back into my service pages with a clear call to action. You can also see there what keywords people used to arrive in on your website from Google searches. So as you can see in the navigation along the left-hand side, you can inspect individual URLs from your website. You can check what pages have been indexed by Google, submit sitemaps, temporarily remove pages from appearing in search results, and you can even check your page experience, it's called. Your core web vitals will dip into that later on. And your website's mobile friendliness as well can all be tested with this tool. And within Google Search Console, you can even view your position on the search engine's result page, or SERP as we call it in the industry, SERP. So you can see there in the screenshot the average position for whatever search. You can put in a search, you can put in a page, and you can actually see the average position that you're appearing from in Google search. So now that you know how to check your performance using Google Search Console, you might wonder, how can I create content that gets organic traffic? So I'm going to give you a couple of ideas in content generation for web. So do your existing business leads have common queries that you could write an FAQ page out of? You could link each individual question on that page to a longer form blog article where they can learn more about that specific question. You can try visiting forums, and I've heard of SEOs using this technique to great effect as well, visiting forums around your business's topic. See what questions are people asking in there that you can create content to answer. Spend time in search yourself, and note there's a section in search that is called People Also Ask. So search things in Google yourself, you'll see People Also Ask being triggered, you'll see questions in there, and can you create content to answer those questions? And of course, the SEO's toolkit has to include keyword research. So this is another way to create content, is using keyword research. The Google AdWords Keyword Planner is a free tool. That's the Google AdWords Keyword Planner. Now, you don't need an active campaign running in Google AdWords to get access to this tool. You do need an inactive campaign, so you do need to set something up, but actually you can cancel it and not pay and still get access to this tool. So you don't need an active campaign. It'll give you average search volumes per month within Ireland or other countries you want to target. And with this data and keyword suggestions, you're looking to identify high traffic, low competition searches that you're able to serve great quality content to meet. And this is an incredibly useful and free way to research keywords to target. So now that you have your content created to meet your target audience, you need to optimize your website's content for search engines. HTML is the standard markup language for creating web pages. Your HTML page titles directly and meta descriptions indirectly benefit your website's SEO. But what is a page title and meta description? So just to show you how they appear in search, page titles appear in Google SERPs, as we said earlier, as those blue clickable links on the page. So you can see that in the screenshot there. And the meta description is the short snippet of text underneath that blue link. So your HTML page titles are a valuable source of keywords for Google and users, and your meta descriptions, while they're not as important for search ranking in terms of the keywords within them, but they do have an indirect effect on ranking by describing why users should click in on your page. So this is what they're going to see in search, and when they read that little description underneath, it's going to explain why they should click into your website as opposed to somebody else's. So Google generally allows about 160 characters towards meta description before it truncates it. So you can see the dots there after mine, meaning it was a little bit too long. It's good to stick to the number of characters, but if you go too long, don't worry about it too much. So Google's display titles are at maximum 600 pixels in length. So that corresponds roughly to about 60 characters. And again, longer than that would be truncated where you see the dots. So what else is important in HTML? Pay attention to the use of headings in your content. So H1 being the most important heading all the way down to H6. Write in a natural way, make use of bold, italic, block quote, bullet lists. Don't forget to include images and where possible video to illustrate and improve your content. And this is my favorite, user experience or UX is also crucial for SEO, and you can use our old friend that we've relied on this whole time, Google Search Console, to test out some elements related to this on your website. On the left-hand side of Search Console, you'll see Core Web Vitals. This relates to how quickly page content loads, how quickly a web page can respond to a user's input, and the stable loading of the page. Also in Search Console, there's a link called Page Experience. So a bad result here could be called by intrusive interstitials. This, for example, could be a pop-up window when your website loads, or it could be the lack of an SSL cert. So you're getting a HTTP connection rather than HTTPS, which is more secure. So outside of Search Console, you can also test your mobile UX by using Google's mobile friendly tester, and that's another free tool available. So you can test any of your pages for issues on the mobile version of your website. That's the Google mobile friendly test. So this is the kind of graph that you're going to see when you click into page experience in Google Search Console. So as you can see here in my real life example, I have a client who inserted a pop-up window on their e-commerce website attempting to collect phone numbers with it. So because it loaded immediately when someone visited the page, users were trapped where they had no way to get back into the website they wanted to visit. Google actually started removing pages from the good page experience results. And the website actually flatlined until they hired me. So when I came in and saw this, I removed the pop-up completely with permission from my client, of course, And as you can see, all of the URLs, that was the only change that was made on this website, was the removal of the pop-up. And immediately you can see all of the URLs getting a 100 good page experience ranking. So this really shows the value of using Google Search Console as a great tool to identify very quickly issues that might be impacting both on your ability to rank in Google, but also impacting any visitors to your website, no matter where they came from. So to sum up, we have discussed why ranking your website at the top of Google search results matters. We've discussed how you can audit and test your website using multiple free tools available to you. And we discussed how to make sense of that data. So this included how you can research keywords, come up with content ideas, and improve your users' experience, whether it's by providing a faster load time, removal of intrusive pop-ups, or providing a great mobile layout, among other things. This should equip you with all the tools you need towards making an excellent start to improving your website for both Google and web visitors. And if you'd like to ask me any questions, please do so in the upcoming Q&A. And if you'd like to connect with me, as we said, the Linktree link is in the chat and you can click into that, and do connect with me on LinkedIn as well, because there's chat there. And if you have any questions that you didn't get to ask today, just drop me a ping on LinkedIn and we can chat there instead. So I hope that you enjoyed that, and it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Saiv now, whose talk is amazing, and I'm looking forward to hearing it again because it might like sink in more this time. It's my pleasure to introduce our final speaker, Saiv Warren, who is a content writer and project manager at Content and Event. Media coverage builds credibility and visibility, making you stand out from the pack. But how do you get into the papers and magazines, or onto the big websites, or become a trusted go-to person for radio and TV comment? So Saiv will now take us through the process of press packs and releases and getting the media to come to you. So I'm really excited for this, and it's over to you, Saiv.
Lovely stuff, Hilary. I'm just gonna, if you guys could just give me 1 second to share my screen, please. So today I am going to be talking to you a little bit about basically press releases, but also about making sure that you're actually ready to be seen. So 1 moment, is that working? Am I in the corner? I am. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make myself bigger. I feel like being a little bit bigger today. There we go. I feel like, sorry. If I'm too big, I apologize, guys. Anyway, all right. So we've heard Alexandra talking today about using planning to create content, and Hilary talking about using SEO to attract more traffic. We're talking a lot about getting you seen, and I'm going to talk about creating stories to get you seen, and specifically how you can use press pictures and press releases for this. But crucially, first, we're going to talk about making sure you're ready to be seen before you launch out there, and how you're going to make the most of any attention that does come to you with your call to action. And as we said before, absolutely everything we've talked about today is covered neatly in the Linktree, so there's no need to take notes unless you absolutely want to. I have 7 minutes, so I should probably get a little bit of a wiggle on. So media coverage can be a huge boost for your business, but before you get to writing press pitches, you need to make sure that you're in a position to take advantage of any publicity that comes to you. So we're going to start today with a very simple question, guys. What do people find online when they find you? If someone reads about you and they looks you up, or they comes across your content, they're going to have a look at your profiles and they're going to have a look at your website. So what are they going to find when they look there, and what do you want them to do now that they're looking right at you? Thinking about this in advance is an absolutely vital part of your digital strategy goals. If your ideal client comes knocking, are you making it easy for them to buy from you? Look, I do a lot of social media audit tune-ups, and basically the first bit of advice I always end up giving people is never make it hard for people to give you money. Be clear what you are selling and easy to contact and easy to buy from. So what are people going to find when they look for you? Are your various forms of digital presence really crystal clear about who you are and what you offer, who you do it for, how they can contact you if they want it done, and this is where the really good bit is, what you want them to do next. A lot of businesses don't actually have this information freely available in their profiles. So look, it's time for you to review yours. Make a list of every digital profile you have, every platform, and take a look, and even better yet, ask someone else who's not affiliated with the business to look at it with you and see if does your profile clearly show your brand name, who you do and who it's for, how to contact you, and then, because they're probably still on the fence even after looking, what they should do next. What do you want people to do immediately after seeing your posts and going to your profile? This is called a call to action. Hilary's already mentioned it today, a CTA, and it gives people clear direction on what you want them to do next. Okay, so it doesn't have to be very long, but it should have a benefit for your business, and it should also have a benefit for your reader. So a call to action has a hook for them and a benefit for you. So stuff like join our mailing list is a bit like, But you can say, get 5% off by joining our mailing list, or get pre-release access via our mailing list. That's an awful lot more interesting for a visitor. A good call to action clearly tells interested visitors what you want them to do next, and actually what's also in it for them. And it's worth reviewing your call to actions and change every few months to keep them a bit fresh. Maybe you've got seasonal sales or seasonal products you're trying to push or whatever. So before you even think about pushing your content out to get lots of people looking at you, you need to make sure that you're ready for it when all that attention comes. You need to make sure your profiles are clear. Make sure you have your contact details up and a call to action. They've read your content. They're looking right at you, ready to engage. What do you want them to do next? You need to give them an answer. Okay, so now you're ready for a bit more. You think you can give your visitors a good show when they do land. It's time to think bigger. It's time to think about growing your brand's visibility and getting the media interested in you and coming to you so you get seen by a much wider audience. So I'll start off by saying, look, getting into the press is not luck. It's a careful combination of timing and preparation. That's why publicists get, basically they get paid so much. They can deliver results. There's a formula, and it's not actually that hard to do. So I've done a lot of press releases and ghostwritten a lot of pitches and articles, and I can tell you that to get the media interested, you absolutely need to get two things right. You need to be completely relevant to them, and you need to make their job as easy as possible. So sorry, there we go. So you need to be relevant. You need to reach the right people at the right time and give them a story with a hook that connects to their audience. And you need to make their job as easy as possible, making that hook super obvious and making sure that you've included everything in their pitch that they're going to need to write about you. So what's relevant? Okay, well, first off, you can think about what publications should you be looking at? Where do your ideal customers get their news? What websites, what newspapers, what magazines, what podcasts? Start a scrapbook of good articles on businesses like yours. When you read something and you think, oh, that could have been me they wrote about, hang on to it for inspiration. Look at the angles they're taking, look at who's writing it. Look at magazines and national supplements tailored for your audience, and note the editors and writers covering them. Consider contacting local publications as well for local customers. You can think about radio, podcasts, production companies for TV, and anything, websites. Keep track of all the writers, all the editors, all the content creators, and connect with them if you can on social media. Instagram's probably my pick for reaching out to them on social media because you can read them, you can follow them, comment them. It's totally an appropriate forum to do that in. And that way, when you reach out with a pitch, you're actually not going completely cold. They may well recognize you. So bear in mind, you're not pitching to a journalist when you do pitch. You're pitching to their publication's audience. There is a difference, okay? So you're going to need a hook that connects with the audience. Always have the audience in mind. You need to think about what's going to benefit them. And another thing is you've got to be absolutely key on the timing, all right? Don't start pitching stuff for Easter on Good Friday. That's not going to help anybody out. You've got to think longer term. If you want national magazines and papers interested, you need to go 3 months out. Right now, they're looking for a summer and autumn trend. Spring is gone. If you're looking at local media and websites, it's okay to try for maybe closer to a month, but the longer they have to plan, the more likely they are to cover you. So we're going to talk about finding a hook, which can be a bit tricky. There's a few ways you can go at it. You can look at recent angles and stories to see what readers care about and what they're engaging with. You can look at answerthepublic.com, put in your industry, see what questions people are asking. This is a really valuable tool. You can combine an Irish idea with an international trend. Irish publications love to focus on Irish brands, on Irish services, and you can also link to current societal issues, sustainability, talk to current trends and stories. Have a chat with your friends and ideally your customers if you can, and see, are they interested in talking about the thing that you're talking about? Then you probably have an idea for a really good story. So you've done a bit of prep, you have a bit of an idea in advance. How are you going to pitch it? A great pitch or a press release nails 3 things: the purpose, the hook, and the photos. So you've got to lead with the purpose. Why are you contacting them? Are you a new brand? Is it a new service, new product? What's interesting? Why now? Then you've got to highlight the hook. How does it connect to the audience? Is your brand or your service better, topical, different, special? How is your story connecting with and benefiting the audience? It's all about the benefit audience. Are you teaching them something they didn't know, for example? And the last thing is, make sure you send really good photos that will appeal to the audience, not ones that you think make you look good, ones you think the audience are going to want to look at. Okay, if you're emailing them, you should consider sending low res shots, but then including a link to high res shots, because you can only send so many in an email. One really good thing to consider doing is keeping a press pack online somewhere like Dropbox. That would include your high res images, your brand's backstory, your FAQ, any previous media coverage. You can put that in Dropbox, and if an interested journalist asks, you can then just refer them to that. They've got so much information there they can use to build a story about you. This is a big part of what I was talking about, is making the journalist's job as easy as possible for them to cover you. So I'm going to give you some general advice on dealing with the press, and that is, remember, they are very, very, very busy, and an awful lot of people are contacting them on a daily basis. Don't scattergun your pitches. Tailor it to them. Get their name right. Spell it right every single time, guys. Vital. Keep it under 2 pages. Get a proofread before you send, and send it within their working hours, not yours. If your pitch is out there, you've got to be ready to respond. You need to check your email and your messages every weekday, at least for media interest. And if someone from media does come to you, you've got to answer fast. Think in the next hour or the next couple of hours rather than tomorrow or next week. They might be writing on issues that are months down the track, but they won't wait. They've got deadlines. So you've got to keep your word and be punctual. It's fine to say, oh, I'll get back to you tomorrow, as long as you actually do. And if they contact you, don't necessarily expect coverage, especially the big print publications and TV editors often, and advertisers often make big changes at the last minute. So you might discover you've been pushed off the pages. It's annoying, but it happens. Writers will remember you if you were a good interviewee, and they will come back to you. It's about building a relationship. So again, if they promote you, thank them afterwards, share it on all your social media, build that relationship. If you've got another story, you could then get onto them and go, hey, you covered me last time. Would you be interested in this one? If you didn't get covered, you know what, that's absolutely fine. You've got a story now, you've got a bit of an idea, you've got some work done. So why don't you see how you can tweak that, or maybe post it to other publications? So look, you can see that creating stories to get you seen is a bit of a journey rather than a one-off. You should be optimizing your profiles in case your ideal customer calls by. You need to be contactable. You need to have a clear call to action, and that's the absolute basic starting point for your social media accounts. If you have a website, consider putting a media contact on your contact page, because it shows that you're ready to engage. You just have press inquiries and your email. So once you're all ready, you can reach out to the media, you tell them a story with a hook, include all the details they need when they need it. That really is basically the most important aspect of it. So I realize I've covered a lot very fast. So if you want a document that covers it all, I have a free press release document you can download via the link tree. Sorry, there's a lot going on behind my head here. And look, if you'd like more information, again, you can contact me via the link tree. I'm always happy to have a 15-minute chat with people about their situations and give you some pointers on how you can improve it. So what I say to you lads is, you have the know-how, you know where to get more information, you're well on your way. Get out there, get yourself seen. All right, that is me timing.
Great, thanks so much, Saib, Alexandra and Hilary. So if anyone has any questions, guys, you can pop them into the chat box. So Ronan's asked, I'm not sure who this is directed to. What advice have you given the most, i.e. people, as in people thinking that they know better than you, I think. But you've then had to repeat the advice.
I'd probably say like page titles. It seems to be the most neglected area, especially for people doing like DIY kind of websites. So many websites just have home, literally one word, home, as their page title, which is just giving no information to Google. It's giving no information. If it even appears in searches, it's going to be harder to get it even to come up in searches. And it always kind of shocks me that people just don't know that one thing, that they just have home on their website and that's the page title, and they don't really understand that like it does need to be much longer, needs to have keywords, needs to have their brand name, all that stuff. I wouldn't say they fight me on it too much though, but it is something that I do repeat a lot, and I always get surprised just that people still don't know it. But yeah, that's me.
And
Go Alexandra.
For me, it's the being having personality online, and people fight me on that and I need to fight them back. Just you can separate your personal brand from your professional brand, but you should have a professional brand that has something interesting to it. It shouldn't just be very formal and not have feeling to it. So that's what I find most of my clients about.
Thanks, Alexandra. I find myself going on a lot about being strategic because I'm a project manager and I'm really goal focused, which is people just get lost in this. It's like, pick the 1 or 2 goals that really matters to you right now and think about the steps that you can use to achieve them, and think about it from your customer's perspective. So maybe just nail one thing you want to do and just go for that hardcore, rather than getting stuck in the well and then kind of ending up in what I call the pit of despair, where you just can't get out because there's so many things you want to do, you just don't even know where to start the process. So find that annoying friend who insists on organizing everything, and throw some questions at them and get them some ideas off. You don't actually necessarily have to implement them, but I find people like that are very good for starting the boat rolling on just get one thing done. The rest will follow. Get one thing done.
Great, thanks guys. So Niall has also asked, Saib, would you have some ideas on how to get a contact list for some journalists, etc.?
Okay, so there's a couple of ways you can go about this. The first is, if you go directly to a P or a company, they will contact the journalist, which means if you're working with them, you can basically keep track of what they're doing. That's an expensive way to do it. Another way you can do it is there are various websites you can go to. If you just pop it into Google, you will find it. People are literally selling lists of journalists. The disadvantage there, I would say, is those lists may not be completely up to date, so you don't know. What I would say is, if you don't have money to throw at it, the easiest way to do it is just basically what I was talking about, which is creating that scrapbook. Hang on to articles that you're interested in. Take the journalist's name off it. You have someone who's writing about your business. It's extremely easy to work out what email addresses are for various people. If you go to Irish Times, you can see it, first name dot last name at irishtimes.com. So it'll have the same format across the board. Generally speaking, if you are sending in a press pitch, I would recommend sending it to a writer and maybe their section or feature head. So for a lot of people, that's going to be business, but for some people, it's going to be lifestyle or whatever. And like I said, try and tailor each email and actually put their name at the top, whatever, because it does look bad. It's a bad look when you send out a press pitch with no personalization to 30 people. They're going to expect you to take the time, even though I would point out, as a journalist, they very rarely have the time to take back from you. Just the way it goes.
Thanks, Dave. Does anyone have any more questions, guys? Give in case anyone is typing.
I just wanted to say I loved your tip, Saib, of saying on your contact page, press inquiries and then an email. So I'll be like a person with notions now, putting that on my contact page in the hope.
Same, I took note immediately of doing it as soon as Saib said it.
It's a nice little thing. Yeah, like as you said, it just shows you're open to it. Like you never know who came in on that page. So it could, yeah.
It shows you're ready to engage. And what I actually used to do for a lot of places, I would do key staff bios. And then I would put down the end of the key staff I would say, they're happy to give press comment on and talk about their few key topics, and then put an email underneath. And that means, again, the search engine, if the journalist is searching for things, they'll be like, oh, he's an expert on X. And there's also a media contact here. Excellent. What a great idea. In slow off seasons like summer, when the journalists aren't covering much, you can actually do a bio page with your photo on it and maybe a list of the things you're really good at talking about, and send it out to journalists specifically. You don't have to send them an actual story. You can send them, I'm willing to comment on I've done a lot of media stories, and I can tell you, a contact that gets back to you in the same day with relevant comment is worth their weight in gold. Journalists and writers treasure those people. If you think you can be one of those people, get out there and start talking to journalists.
That's such a great tip. Thank you. I'm literally going to do this. I need to do this. Thanks, Saib.
Okay, thanks so much, guys. So I have popped the quick little survey link into the chat box. If you guys wouldn't mind filling it out, it literally takes like 30 seconds, just so we can continue to bring lunch and learns to the table that people are actually interested in attending and things like that. And if anyone has any Republic of Work related questions, just feel free to shoot me an email or whatever, and I will be more than happy to answer. So this recording will be available on YouTube in 2 or 3 days time. So thanks again to Hilary, Alexandra and Saib, and I hope everyone has a really nice long bank holiday weekend.
Thank you for coming, guys, and thank you, Hilary and Saib.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Work.
And happy almost 5th birthday to Republic of Work.
Thank you.
Goodbye, guys. Have a lovely weekend.
Bye.
Bye-bye.